during the summer. If we'll see how it works out. I'm not going to schedule the date yet, but we have pretty good attendance, and things may be better where we can actually plan something. So just a second. Yeah.
I see that the meeting is now being recorded.
Yeah. This meeting's being recorded.
Okay.
I mean, we also will have minutes. Well, yeah, Rana's here, so we'll have minutes too. But
Okay.
even though the official rule, as far as I can tell, is that even though we record a meeting, we still need to take minutes, because the minutes they keep forever almost, whereas the recordings take up a lot of data and they keep them about a year or something like that. So it will be fine. Yeah. Okay. So we got April 15th is the next meeting. Any questions before I get started here? Let's just go right into the city update. Miles, you're still here, right? You want to do the city update? I can't hear you.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. Javier Mena is also here. He's the housing manager.
Well, why don't you sort of pass it on to him? Yeah, I see he was there. There he is. Okay, what you want to do, him first or you first?
He can go first. Yeah.
Okay.
Javier, I think they just wanted to know a little bit about the Project C. And
Yeah, right. Well, it sort of started because there was a lot of discussion on next door about basically tearing down the community center across from the library and putting affordable housing there. And people were questioning the value of doing something like that. So sort of want to know exactly what is. I realize it's not a final deal, but you know what maybe the proposal is and the benefits that you see. And so it's yours.
No problem at all. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the project. My name is Javier Mena. I'm the Affordable Housing Manager at the City of Beaverton. As you may remember, about 2 years ago, the metro area voters passed the Affordable Housing Bond, which allocated about $31 million to Beaverton to create roughly about 218 affordable housing units. So in our plan, and I'll be more than happy to send you a copy of the plan, our strategy was to leverage publicly owned properties to the greatest degree possible. And so we identified that the $31 million will help us fund about 4 different affordable housing projects. Of those 4 projects, 3 would be on publicly owned land. And the third one would be on, we provide money and the developer will have to come in with the land saying, this is where we're going to put it. And so to give you an update on that, I mean, we have the first project is currently under construction and is near the Beaverton High School on First and Watson, and it's the Mary Ann. It's 54 affordable housing units that will house families as well. So, and that is expected to begin leasing late this year. And so that's, like I said, under construction, and the city invested of the $31 million, $3 million for that, to fund that project. The second project that was selected already through the city process is a project that will get built in South Cooper Mountain, right across from the high school, the new high school, Mountain View High School. And it's $9 million that was allocated for that project to bring forward. Originally, it was 168 units of the 164 of the 164. 80 were going to be set aside for seniors and the other for families. Because of how the developer has continued negotiations with the owner of an adjacent property, that development now will include 308 units and 60 will be set aside for senior housing, and the others will be for families. So that's in South Cooper Mountain. The third site, and so let me step back. So the Marianne, which is near Beaverton High School, the city owned a quarter of that parcel, and we were able to leverage that with the adjacent parcel and the developer, which is Rich Housing. Is Rich Housing Community Development. They are the ones that are building that. And South Cooper Mountain, the city did not own any properties. Is a developer that bought the site, and they're going to be developing on that site. And the developer is a private developer that's Wish Camper Development Partners is a developer. Third site, it is a site that is owned by Metro. And this site is on 170th and Baseline. It's a vacant parcel that we just issued a request for qualifications. Want to know, get proposals from developers as to, how and what they will build and kind of service they will provide on that site. And I'll be honest to say, we expected about 4 proposals to be submitted, but we actually received 8, and very competitive process. And right now we're going through that evaluation and selection process. We have a community-based 5-member evaluation committee that will be meeting tomorrow to kind of look at the proposals and rank them and see, how do we move forward with maybe selecting 3 to do presentations and then select from there. But that's that's the third project. The fourth project that this bond is going to fund has been identified, we identified as Project C. Originally, because we didn't have sites, we had it as A, B, C, D, and A, B, C, and D. And now that the others have names, this is the only one that has been identified with any developer or any type of site until now. And so what we've done on Project C, because we did in our plan said it was going to be on a city-owned parcel, we evaluated the other parcels owned by the city that would lead to development. And we, in our modeling, we had Project C creating roughly about 68 affordable housing units. So we had to look at parcels that will bring us roughly about that number of units. And so we did look at about 4 different sites, and we met with council on, I believe it was October 10th, and talked about that analysis. And we did make a recommendation at that moment that the best site would be the one at the Beaverton Community Center. The reason why we felt that that's the best site, the other sites, either in zoning or limited access to public transportation, limited access to amenities, that type of did not lead to those projects of sites being as beneficial as the Beaverton Community Center is. And so when we presented to council this is our analysis of the properties that we looked at. Based on this information, our recommendation, staff recommendation, is that we explore further the development on the Beaverton Community Center. There are questions, like many of you had, that is, first of all, there's the site is not empty, right? There are community rooms that are there that have been made available for the community to use. There's a severe weather shelter that is being used out of that. There's a community garden that is being managed out of that block. And so they wanted to know what's going to happen with that. And there's going to be housing. The proposal is that there will be housing there, but the ground floor, it was a conversation with council as to what do we do with the ground floor. Is it the interest of council to have that ground floor being public space, public use, or is it the interest of council to that being privately used by the tenants of that building? The third thing that we recommended was that this housing be set aside as senior housing. And since it's so close to the Elsister and close to the library and other services, that made a lot of sense that this be senior housing. And so council, again, told us they felt that, yes, the Beaverton Community Center made a lot of sense, that there's definitely concern about what's going to happen with the shelter. They wanted us to explore more about the community gardens and about the community space. And they felt that senior housing was the perfect idea for that site. So we went, we came back to our groups and started looking at, okay, what does that mean for the current services that are there? What are the plans for that? And what's going to happen when we create this public space? What is the right use for that space? Is it another shelter? Is it services? Is it community room? What is the right space? So, over the 2 months from there, we talked about mapping it out in terms of everything else being equal, and if council approved, when we could issue a request for proposals to get a developer in line to continue the conversation. And then it will take about roughly 9 to 12 months to identify the uses on the ground floor, to identify the funding for the project, the remaining funding for the project. And that could lead to the project breaking ground in 2022, sometime in 2022, in the summer or fall of 2022. Which then meant that the shelter would still be in use this year through early next year, and that the city had to internally look for an alternative to the shelter. Definitely there was communication from council that the shelter was a priority. In terms of the community garden, we have had conversations with THPRD as to relocating that garden and what would that look like, and those conversations continue. In terms of the community rooms, whether it's that on that building or not, there's broader conversation about community rooms throughout the city's entire assets, because there's so many other properties that are changing. And so the intent, so now where we are at is we're going to be based on the feedback that we received from council. And stepping back a little and talk about the building itself. It is a relatively, in the grand scheme of things, a not really new building, but it's not an old building, right? It's about 20 years old. There have been some extensions done on that building to accommodate some of the need. The site currently is underutilized, and there, when we look at opportunities, this is a great opportunity to really maximize the usage. Sorry, I have a dog here, but maximize the usage of the site and bring affordable housing to the area, especially for seniors to benefit from the park and the library in Elsister. So the next steps as to where we are at right now is I'm in the process of drafting this request for proposals that will be hopefully issuing in the next few weeks, that we will want to identify a developer who will help us in building, who actually will build it and own it on this project, but help us in the conversation of what happens on the ground floor. And we'll be reaching out to NACs like you and talk about what is it that you want to see, what makes sense to you. And one of the challenges that we have on such a space on the ground floor is that for affordable housing, it's easier to finance because there are a few funding sources that is specific for affordable housing. There's not such funding sources that are available for public spaces. And so it's either the city has to put out that money or it needs to be found. Let me rephrase that. More than likely, the city will have to put some money. Whether it has to put the entire amount or not depends as to whether the city wants to be an owner of that public space or just wants to make sure that it's accessible to the community that public space is accessible to the community as to how much the city will have to invest. And that's, again, something that we'll continue to talk about. And as the programming for the housing above gets worked out, we'll inform also what happens on that ground floor. But the council definitely has made it clear that they want that space accessible to the general public. So that's kind of in a nutshell, kind of where we are at. And I'll stop there and answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed that update.
Yeah, are any more questions? Just so, I think the biggest concern I saw was the community space going, community rooms, because you've already done it at the police station, right? That was a big community area with a lot of rooms where we could have meetings, etc. And it's gone. And initially they were gonna build some community rooms under the police thing, and they had to use the money elsewhere. And now this is going too, right? And you know, it may turn out we may never meet again in person because of the coronavirus. You know, assuming things go the way they say, it just seemed like we're losing a lot of space, and that was one of the concerns I heard. So I guess you're looking into that, right? But
Just to answer that question, to that concern, definitely the city is doing a capital analysis, property analysis on all the properties and buildings that they own for public space, for public meeting purposes and other purposes, but definitely that's going to be one of those things. And I would not cancel out the opportunity of having such community room or rooms in this new building.
well, that's what I was wondering. Also, old City Hall is not used that much and had quite a few rooms. Is that a possibility too? The parking was pretty good and everything there.
There are rooms at City Hall for the public use.
I mean, the old City Hall.
Yeah.
The one on
There's-
Griffith.
Yeah, there's two or three rooms available
Okay.
that you can rent through the online system.
Oh, okay. All right. At
Certainly no.
least you know our concerns. And Ramona?
I came in late. I apologize for my tardiness. What facility is under discussion?
You
The-
want to answer that?
The Beaverton Community Center.
The single-story building?
Yeah. Yes.
And what is being proposed, that it be torn down and rebuilt?
Yes, that would be turned down and actually an apartment building be built on instead, that will continue to have a ground floor public use, but apartments above.
Okay.
How many stories?
More than likely be about 4.
I don't like these tall buildings that they're putting up, particularly, for example, the most recent one there across 2 blocks from the library. It's a feeling that we're getting overpowered by these buildings. And I know they're nothing to compare with the skyscrapers downtown Portland. But Pacific Northwest the ground is not that stable, and they're predicting these big earthquakes we're going to be having. And the taller the buildings are in Beaverton, the more unsafe and hazardous they can be.
No, I completely understand that concern. And it's a reality throughout the entire region.
Right.
You know, the challenge that we have as a city is the need to accommodate for all types of households, including low-income households. And that's kind of in a place where they can be successful. And that's kind of why that location is kind of makes sense.
I watched those
Well-
buildings that Ramona is referring to being built, and they're rather substantially cross-braced with the anticipation of earth movement.
Yeah, we're really hurting for community space and for them to deliberately be doing away with the community space that we have. And nothing else seems to be opening up to replace it. That's my concern.
Needs to be reasonably sized, sectionable with parking.
Yeah, how many units did you sort of anticipate in the community center area?
Roughly about 60 to 65 units.
And what kind of parking ratio for parking?
Well,
I mean, I heard one time it was like 3/4 per unit or something, 3/4 of a car per unit or something like that.
that's what code is right now in that area is 0.75 per unit.
So,
So we will follow code.
well, yeah, I assume you might put parking underneath or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, there'll be, and that's what this, getting the developer in place will help kind of in the design. And typically, there is parking on the ground floor with podium type of development where, there's some underneath the podium. In this case, definitely there's a desire for that ground floor to be utilized so that space, that parking, it will be interesting to see how architects and designers create it, because we do have to abide by code, and that includes the parking, the requirements based on the zoning.
A curious question, taking this away from this issue. What is going on at the fountain area across from the library? I see the chain link fence up with, it's been blinded so you can't see in.
If I don't want to speak out of terms, I don't, I know that there's another proposed apartment development going in the area. I don't know if that's the space that you're thinking about, or you're talking about, but it's a private development.
It's where the fountain, the splash pad,
Mhm.
and at the end of the parking lot where they hold the farmer's market, and it's just right across from the library. They put up a chain link fence and they blinded it. I can't see any signs that tell me what's going on inside.
They're redoing the fountain at the park. They're doing a lot of work on it. The fountain is failing. It floods underneath where you can't see it. And then the pavers are tripping hazards. They weren't set in mortar, so they're popping up and people are tripping on them. So they're redoing the whole thing. So that'll be coming down once they're finished.
Thank you. And I certainly like the lighted display at the new Justice Police Center, those 3 sort of triangular shaped ones that change color. That's kind of clever.
well, okay. Any more questions? I guess we'll let y'all talk. I got a question. I got a question for Miles though.
I see that in the chat. There's a comment that only 2 bus lines serve the community center. And actually, that is true. It is 2 bus lines, a lot more than certain other parts of Beaverton. But it's also closer to that can get you closer to the Chancellor Center in Beaverton. That obviously serves a whole lot more. There's a hub, that's a hub there. And so we definitely looked at that as one of the reasons why we would want to place it there.
Okay, Miles, that comment was from Brian, and I can't see a Brian on my screen. And it says there's 9 participants, and I only, now I see 9, but.
Under the attendees, I don't know if you can see those.
Oh, okay, this is not part of the group, right? Okay, that's fine. We want comments from everybody, so. Okay, any more questions? Okay,
I do
well,
have an
Oh,
issue
looks like
with
Wendy has a question.
It's appropriate.
Hi, thanks, Miles. My question is for you, and I just wondered if you could give us a quick update on how we're doing on the Performing Arts Center. It looks like there's lots of activity going on there. It looks positive. I just wondered if you had just a quick update on what's going on.
I'm not familiar with what exactly is going on, but I have seen job postings for it, so they must be getting close to wrapping things up. The public art's been installed on the parking garage. Yeah, I don't have I can bring that next time. Well, we don't meet next month, but
I can give you a very quick update on that.
thanks, Javier.
The expectation is that the Center for the Arts the construction will be completed this year, late this year, and that the expectation is that it will open up in spring of next year.
sounds
Thank-
good. Any more questions? Well, Javier is still here. Okay, hey, Miles, did you have any more for the city update?
I do, yeah. So the recruitment for the regular city manager is underway. Currently, we have an interim city manager through July. The search process is, we've hired a external search firm to help support and engage the opportunities for feedback. The initial plans call for the process to begin in March, and a decision by City Council is expected to be announced in early summer. We are looking to the community to help identify ideal characteristics that will complement the work we are doing today and guide plans for tomorrow. If you go to the website beavertonoregon.gov/city manager, there's more information. And that's where we'll be posting opportunities for public feedback. The city manager is council appointed and oversees most city operations, departments, and the budget. Person assists the mayor and city council with putting the city's vision, priorities, and directives into action. And this came out of the voter approved city charter last year that became effective this year. We have an equity and public safety update. During the past year, city leadership and community members have come together to learn and explore experiences with public safety and address systemic racism within city structures and practices. We are engaging with the community to expand and implement some positive changes. The Human Rights Advisory Commission wrapped up its final session with the Beaverton Police Department. They held inquiry sessions and they sent recommendations to City Council. See, it looks like City Council heard those recommendations on January 26th, if you want to go back and see that, that work. The topics included were police funding, transparency, policy changes, community connection, and the school resource officer program. And you can stay up to date with our ongoing equity efforts at beavertonoregon.gov/beheard. The Washington County Community Library Systems has eliminated overdue fines. So they will no longer charge fines for overdue items. And if you had fines on your account, they've been wiped off. This change has been made because there's a bunch of studies that show that it hinders people with lower incomes and communities of color from accessing the library. It puts an undue burden on them, and it doesn't actually provide very much in revenue for the entire library system. And you can learn more at wccls.org fine free. So that's all the libraries in Washington County. And then finally, Beaverton announced that we received a WIFA loan, and that's from the Environmental Protection Agency. It's an $81 million water infrastructure finance and innovation loan for the city's water projects, and it's going to save Beaverton an estimated $31.3 million in interest getting this loan. It'll finance a series of projects that will enhance the reliability and resiliency of our water system and meet the needs of the growing area. We're going to construct major transmission mains, new water connectors, seismically resilient drinking water storage, and more. We're estimating that it'll create more than 500 jobs over the lifetime of the projects. And the loan program is designed to accelerate investment in the nation's water infrastructure. And there's more information on all of the city's water projects at beavertonoregon.gov/water. Those are all the updates I have.
Any questions for Miles? Any questions for Miles?
Like Wendy has a question.
I do. Again, thank you, Miles. I wondered if by chance, many of us are having great difficulty finding actual appointments for COVID-19 vaccinations. And there don't appear to be any spots on the west side. So I just wondered if you had any update and what Beaverton is doing to try to get more localized COVID vaccines for those of us who live on the west side. I understand there's issues with the freezers and all of that, but do you know going forward, I mean, it's just a joke right now to try to get even talk to anybody or get online. So I'm decided I'm going to pretend I'm 45 and not my age. And so I'm not eligible. I'm just going to pretend I'm just not eligible. I can't get anything, but I just wonder if you had any updates.
I do know the city is talking to the county about sites. It's not just a west side problem. It's an entire region problem. I think I read in the newspaper that they ran out of sites in the Portland metropolitan region in like 90 minutes of being open for appointments. So I do know they're talking about it. I don't have any updates. I think everyone's working hard to try to get as many people vaccinated as they can, as quickly as they can.
I just figure that it's a game and we're on the losing end right now. So I just thought I'd ask. So thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
I was able to finally capture appointments for myself and my wife this morning at the convention center downtown. And they are scheduling into March.
Scheduling in March? Yeah, I just became eligible this week, but I haven't tried scheduling yet. Okay, any more questions for Miles? And I guess Robert is the school district person today, is that correct? Okay, the community police officer never showed up, and THPRD did not show up. So
Jim, real quick, I'm going to jump on my other meeting. But
okay,
if you need me, just put a message in the chat because I'll be watching that, but I can't hear you at the same time.
okay. Well, the school district will probably go 15-20 minutes. So
yeah, it's a good discussion.
okay, we're in good shape, and I'll send you a chat message.
And real quick, unless you have any other questions for me, I'll jump off the meeting as well.
Well, sure, yeah. I think we're fine. You know, if anything comes up, I'll email you. How's that?
Yeah, and anytime you want me to join you for the conversation, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay. So wait till things get a little further along. May have some questions.
Wendy, did you have another question?
Yeah, I had, I was just going to comment to Jim that if Cathi isn't here, I can give just a couple of updates on THPRD if you would like.
Okay. Can you do that after the school district?
I can do it whenever you'd like, Jim.
Okay, let's let the school district go so he's not here all night. So. Anyway, Robert or Bob.
All right.
It's all with you. It's all you. No.
I'm your only service district showing up tonight, so I'll make the best of it. Thanks for having me. My name's Robert McCracken. I am the facilities planning coordinator for the Beaverton School District. A slightly more descriptive term as I'm the district demographer. I do the enrollment projections for the district. as well as the occasional boundary adjustment. Right now we're working on a long-range plan update for the district. Long-range facility plan is a 10-year document, and the last one we did was in 2010, so it's about expired. State law requires us to keep those updated on 10-year intervals. And the plan itself, you may have seen these before, but they're basically system plans. They describe all of the facility needs for the district, including new buildings, new equipment, IT infrastructure, HVAC systems, all of that. So they encompass everything that's needed to run the district from a capital facility perspective. In doing so, they document usually more need than is actually that we're actually capable of paying for over any one period. So the implementation of the long-range plan is done through capital measures, capital bonds. The last one, which was passed in 2014, was a $680 million capital measure, which paid for an awful lot, still not as much as it didn't cover all of the need that was documented at the time, but it paid for an awful lot. 7 new buildings, including Mountainside High School, 4 new or replaced elementary schools, the Arts and Communication Magnet Academy, which is getting a new building, and then the new middle school in the Timberland area, which we hope will have an actual name of its own in the next month or so, when we'll no longer refer to it as Timberland, the temporary school for everyone else. I looked at the projects that were done in the Greenway area, and you have 3 schools located in the Greenway area. The first is Greenway Elementary, which looks like it's about 41 years old. And it received about $900,000 in investments, including technology updates, technology for students, which basically your Chromebooks and iPads, which students have been using during the comprehensive distance learning for the last almost year. Security upgrades, HVAC upgrades, playground repairs. Those were all done at Greenway. Conestoga Middle School, right next door. It's about 25, 27 years old. And it received more, $6.8 million in investments. Again, technology for students, telecom upgrades, security upgrades, a new roof, and what looked like a very expensive plumbing repiping project. And then finally, Southridge High School, that's about 22 years old, and it received $2.7 million in investments. So technology, again, for students, Title IX upgrades, security, auditorium upgrades, which were done district-wide, and some investments in the sports fields, including irrigation. So in your little neighborhood, an awful lot of work was done with the 2014 bond. And I think all those facilities are looking much spiffier as a result. At the moment, we're doing our long-range plan. And once that's complete later this spring or summer, the board will decide how to implement it, most likely through a capital measure. So at the moment, what we're doing is we're going out to groups such as yours to, one, show what happened with the 2014 bond. So the first video I have for you will show all the investments that were made around the district. It's pretty.
Did you have a question, Ramona?
I was curious as to what the plumbing project consisted of that was done at Conestoga Middle School.
I'll have to ask the bond. I'll have to ask the bond team about what that was exactly. I just have a summary of the of the projects that were done there, but I can find that out and get that back to you if you're interested.
Yes, thank you.
Just make a note of that. So the first video I have is about the 2014 bond. The second video is about some of the priorities that we've come up with during this current plan process, and it includes an online survey later. That what I'll do is I'll drop it into the chat so you can look at the videos again, and you can also take the survey. We'd love it if you're able to send it out to anyone else who'd view it, and give us as much feedback as you can. There's also an open-ended question, so you can say anything you like to the district about facilities planning. Unless there are any questions right off the bat, I will attempt to share my screen and share the first video with you. And what I'll need to, the sound usually works. I can't hear it through my headphones, but if you can't hear it, just put something through in the chat, and I'll see if I can fix it.
In May of 2014, voters passed what at the time was the largest school bond in Oregon, $680 million. Fast forward to 2021. What have we done with your money? Well, the answer is a lot. First, the bond included an $80 million investment in technology. With that money, we purchased Chromebooks and iPads for every student. Those devices have been essential during comprehensive distance learning. We also improved our IT data center and installed a unified communication system. Next, a large chunk of the bond money paid for the construction of 3 new schools and the demolition and rebuilding of 4 additional schools. All 7 of these schools now contain important seismic bracing designed to withstand a major earthquake, which means these buildings can serve as emergency shelters for the community if needed. The largest of the new buildings, Mountainside High School, opened its doors in September 2017 to freshmen and sophomores. The school is built on 47 acres and contains 342,000 square feet of space, including 53 general classrooms, 11 science classrooms, and 5 special education classrooms. It has capacity for 2,200 students and offers a variety of career technical education courses, including marketing, culinary arts, and construction. The new middle school opened in 2015. It's been used as a temporary home for Vos, Hazeldale, and William Walker Elementary Schools, as well as the Arts and Communication Magnet Academy, or ACMA. Later this year, the middle school will open to its own students and help alleviate overcrowding at Stoller Middle School. Vos, Hazeldale, and William Walker Elementary Schools were all torn down and rebuilt. To save money, the district used the same design for all 3 schools, as well as Sato, the new elementary school in North Bethany. The design utilized abundant natural light and solar panels. The schools each contain about 87,000 square feet of space, including 32 classrooms and a dividable gym, with capacity for 750 students. The Arts and Communication Magnet Academy is the 4th school that was torn down and rebuilt. The new building ties into the existing Performing Arts Center and is scheduled to open in September. The new 75,000 square foot main building includes an open gathering space and specialized studios for dance and video production. The school will have increased capacity for 725 students. Another large project in the bond program was the multi-phase renovation and expansion of Five Oaks Middle School. Over the course of 3 years, we removed portable buildings, added classrooms, and relocated the main office to provide increased security. The library was extensively renovated and now includes a large skylight, allowing natural light to flow into the space. We improved classroom layouts, remodeled bathrooms, and added colorful graphic walls to common spaces. We've addressed major security concerns through the bond as well. We've installed vestibules that secure entry points at many elementary and middle schools, plus keycard access for staff. And all the comprehensive high schools now have new security cameras, which improve safety and reduces vandalism. The district receives seismic grants through the state of Oregon and used bond dollars to supplement seismic upgrade projects at Aloha High School and Beaver Acres Elementary School. The improvements will help stabilize the buildings in the event of an earthquake. We use bond money to address Title IX disparities. Title IX requires male and female sports teams to receive the same access to quality training and playing facilities. We've made Title IX upgrades at 4 of the district's 6 comprehensive high schools. The bond program included $98 million for repairs throughout the district, including HVAC upgrades, roof replacement and repairs, repiping, restroom remodels, kitchen equipment, playground upgrades, parking lot repairs, auditorium and stage upgrades, and maintenance facility improvements. All this was made possible through the generous support of you, the Beaverton voters. Thank you for investing in our facilities so that we can continue to invest in our children's futures.
Okay, so that's the first one. Unless there are any questions, I'll just move on to the next.
We're looking to you to help prioritize the needs of the district when it comes to our long-range goals. But before we get into priorities, let's first talk about money. Simply put, everything your student encounters in a school day is paid for through either the general fund or the bond fund. Your child's school bus, school building, and Chromebook are all paid for from the bond fund. But the electricity that powers that computer, her books, her teacher's salary, those things are paid for from the general fund. Right now, we want to focus on the bond fund. Every few years, voters decide how much they're willing to be taxed to fill up this fund in a bond election. As you might guess, there are a lot of ways the district could spend this money. Imagine 3 buckets. In bucket 1, we have our educational program needs. Think new preschool classrooms at all Title I schools, gyms and multipurpose rooms for PE, facilities for special education, and new classrooms to get rid of all 175 portables in the district. Bucket 2 is our facility needs. Take a look. We have some really old buildings in the district. 4 schools are over 75 years old, and Beaverton High School is over 100. And if you look at this graph, you'll see 13 of our buildings are considered to be in critical condition. The cost to repair and replace those buildings varies by site. Here's another big need, seismic stability. That's a measure of how well our schools would withstand an earthquake. Right now, 10 of our buildings would collapse. The cost to retrofit those buildings varies by location. Also in this bucket, security upgrades, school kitchen upgrades, and decades worth of deferred maintenance. Those are repairs and upgrades that we've had to put off because of lack of money. Bucket 3 has to do with meeting our enrollment needs. Currently, we anticipate a need for more classrooms at Oak Hills, Sato, and Stoller in the future. Additionally, Stoller could use another gym due to high enrollment. Yes, the buckets are full, and unfortunately, we don't have enough money to empty them all. So how would you spend the money? After all, these are your taxpayer dollars. After watching this video, please fill out a short questionnaire and let us know what you think the district should prioritize. Your opinion matters to us. We're looking to you to
Okay. And I placed into the chat the links to both of those videos and the survey, both in English and Spanish. And I believe we have them in other languages if you need them. But, And I'd be happy to take any questions, answer them as best I can, or hand them off to people who at the district are more qualified than I to answer them.
Certainly, thank you for the updates.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And thank you very much for having us. Let's see. Yes, Ramona.
Can we get the survey by going directly to the school district website? Okay.
Yeah, and I just saw in the chat somebody asking, did you send the link to attendees or just panelists? And let me do that one more time so it goes to all of the attendees as well. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll put the long range planning department link in here as well. You can find the survey there. You can find all the videos and any other information that you're interested in from our division. And I will ask for some details on that repipe project at Conestoga and get that back to. I'll send it to Miles and have him send it to you directly. Unless there's any other questions, I'll take my leave and thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a good rest of the evening. And let me go to Wendy. She was going to update us a little bit on THPRD since Cathi couldn't make it.
Jim, you might want to check. I think Cathi might be on.
Oh, there's Catherine Ellis. Okay, let's just go to her.
Okay.
Hi, Jim. Thanks so much. And thanks, everybody. I have a couple of updates that I would love to give, most specifically for us at Greenway. So the most exciting thing to kick off is that coming this month, and actually it is going to be this upcoming Sunday, which is February 21st, THP is going to be hosting our second talking wall. And that is actually going to be at the Greenway Park. We're partnering with the Native American Youth and Family Center and the Color Outside the Lines. And the Greenway Park is going to have a Native American mural being put up. So at the very end of my presentation, I'm going to be sharing a link to the THPRD website that both shares more about this great project we're doing with the community. And you can actually click in and see some renderings of the artwork that's going to be going up. And we're very excited to have the community be a part of this. So there's also a link if you want to come out and actually help do part of the mural or volunteer at the event. There's links to be signing up for that as well. So the first one went in at it was a partnership with Sunset High School. And we're very excited to bring this second talking wall with THPRD and the Native American Youth and Family Center to Greenway Park. So we're going to be seeing a little beautification happening right here in our neighborhood. Two of the other big things we wanted to let everybody know is with the governor's decision to move us all into high, and we all did that. So way to go to everybody for keeping your masks on and keeping yourself socially distanced. It does mean that places like your local recreation centers and some of your pools are now open back up. So we currently have the Raleigh Swim Center is, even though it's an outdoor pool, it's still open for lap swim right now. And starting this week, the Conestoga Recreation and Aquatic Center, which again is in our neighborhood, is open to weight and cardio room visits, is open to fitness classes, and is also open to lap swim with aquatic fitness classes starting next week. So we're very excited about that as well. You're also going to see coming next week the Athletic Center and the Aquatic 50-meter Center coming back open as well. And that rounds out the Tennis Center and Conestoga, of course, also being open this week. So we're very excited to continue to try to move ourselves back into a little bit of normal. We also wanted to let everyone know that summer planning is underway. So believe it or not, it's going to be as of April 12th that our website will be updated with all of our summer camp information. And registration for summer is going to begin on Saturday, May 1st. So we are moving forward with some very conservative plans. It's going to look a lot like last summer. We're letting people know there may be some classes and camps that could potentially happen indoors, but we are planning the majority of our opportunities like we did last summer out in more parks and more fields than we've ever done before. But that is going to be our plan for the summer. And we're excited for everybody, again, mid-April to take a look at what's being planned, and by May 1st for that registration to happen. Some of the other things we wanted to let you know is we do still have free fitness in the park. It's back. The grant from Washington County is helping us to be doing free fitness classes throughout parks in our district all the way through mid-March. And again, at the end of this presentation, I'll put that link online so you can take a look at exactly what park and exactly what type of exercises are happening out there. And we do have a bunch of other grant supported and free events that are happening throughout the community. For instance, Drive-In Bingo was a hit at Elsie Stir, and we're planning to do that again. So, you know, we're just really excited to get back out there and invite you all to come back and safely recreate so that Tualatin Hills can serve our community again. The very last thing we wanted to share with everyone is just due to the recent winter weather storms, both the heavy rains and flooding that we saw in January, and then obviously the snow and the freezing rain that came just last week. Our parks crews, we want to give a big shout out to them. They're working very hard in all of our parks and trails to repair trees and trail damage. So if you're out and about in our parks, of course, they're very heavily used right now, and some of them may be temporarily being worked on. So if you see that, just thank you for bearing with us. We'll always reroute you around another way to get where you should be going. But just a heads up to everybody that as we kind of work through the damage that the winter storms came, you may see some temporary closures on some trails. So that's kind of the big updates I have for now. I'll pause real quick and see if Wendy has anything as one of our board of directors to add in here at a different level. And then when she's done, we will open ourselves up to any questions anyone might have.
Hi, Cathi. Thank you. You hit all the high points. I'm so glad that you were able to do that. The only other thing I was going to mention is that we're, as many special districts are, we're in budget season. And so we're going to be starting our budget hearings as of next week. And they will be open to the public as best we can do with our current state of affairs. But please check our website if you are at all interested in that and checking to see what's up and what's going on and what we're planning for the next year. So probably this month and then on through till May, we're going to have a variety of different meetings. So if you're interested, please jump on board.
And I'll add the link to that information as well. But were there any questions anyone had at this time? Thanks, Wendy.
One quick question. The rewilded stretch of Fennel Creek through the, I guess you call it the Greenway Park. Does someone from the rec district occasionally check on the beaver dams?
Yes, we do. Especially on that stretch, beavers is a very big word, especially for our natural resource department. So certainly with all of the trees that are down, that's given the beavers a lot of little extra things to play with. So Eric, I could definitely get you in contact with Bruce Babarash. He has kind of the best information about what's going on specifically with beavers and specifically with that area if you would like it. During this update, I don't have anything particular except for to say, definitely with all the storm damage that has happened, whether we were paying attention to it specifically because of beavers or not, all of those areas and especially the creeks are getting reviews right now and extra attention just to make sure that everything looks good after the weather that we've had.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you can just have that information at our next meeting. Would that work?
Yeah, sure, Jim, I could do that. Eric, is that something you want before then? Or if not, I'd be happy to ask Bruce to kind of prep us with a little more information about the trails specifically.
Why don't you take some time and the next meeting will be just great.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any more questions for Cathi? Hey, Stephen Sparks, I noticed you joined. Robert did a very good job on the presentation. I don't know if you were here for that or not.
No, I got Miles' email asking if I was going to be here. And Robert, I was at a CPO meeting presenting, and Robert was taking this meeting. So I wanted to come and check in to be sure that the presentation took place. If not, I'm ready to do it. And if so, say hello. Haven't seen you in a while, Jim, and I can bow out.
Okay, great. We got the survey links on the chat and everything. I think he got everything covered.
Okay.
Answered quite a few questions. So
Great.
did a good job.
All right, excellent. I expect nothing less from Robert. He's a good guy. And if you don't have any questions for me, I will bow out and go watch Dancing with the Stars or something.
All right, any questions for Steven, who's also from the school district? You didn't know. Yes, we got all our questions answered.
Excellent. Thanks very much. We'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later. We'll go through some local issues here. I don't have a whole lot on this. Local land use issues, right now, there is nothing going on, at least that I know of. And I look at that weekly. Any neighborhood concerns or visitor comments or anything like that?
Jim, since Cathi is still here, I have a question about the talking wall because I was looking at the site. I just wondered what part of Greenway Park that is in.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rhonda. So it's actually where close to the Greenway Elementary School, there is a little shelter there. And it's got the wall where the basketball court is.
Yes, thank you.
Courts. It's going to be in that area there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay.
Jim,
Any more questions?
Jim,
Yeah.
local issue. Of course, my lot backs up on Greenway, the street.
Yeah.
And I'm just beyond where the Brockman and Greenway join.
Okay.
And it's getting exceedingly noisy again as people put the pedal to the metal. It's kind of the speed up zone right underneath that pedestrian bridge.
Yeah.
And the faster people go, the louder it is, and the worn aggregate in the pavement, the more it becomes exposed, the louder the tire noise, which is most of the noise. Is there any chance to get the police department little speed unit? There is a flat place behind my property. There's a large utility vault there right at street level that you could run that little thing out on, and it wouldn't be sitting in the street per se, but it would have a great view both up and down Greenway.
Yes, I'm pretty sure we can do that, although police department's not very good at coming to our meetings, but I will definitely push that to them. And if I don't have any response there, I noticed that the mayor's coming to our VCCI meeting that I'm attending on Monday, so I can maybe get her to do it too. So yes, I will get that done. We've had that there before. And it stops people for a little while. But yeah, I think everybody's in a hurry nowadays. I don't understand why. There's not much to do. But I will take care of that for you.
A thought would be to also put some kind of a thoughtful community sign on the pedestrian overpass. People live nearby, slow down. Kids are on both sides of the street. There are pedestrian sidewalks, which are unprotected. You can tumble down into the street very easy. And I think it might help. And the other thing would be that if that stretch of Greenway were seal coated regularly, it would dramatically reduce the tire noise.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the overpass. I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
there is a pedestrian overpass.
Yeah, I know that. I've gone across it many times.
But in other words, you could put, I mean, the only sign on the pedestrian overpass is a little yellow sign that says how much clearance there is. And since I've lived here, that pedestrian overpass has been taken down 2 or 3 times by collision.
By
with
garbage trucks.
And so that, you know, there's plenty of space to hang sign on the bridge that's easily visible going both ways.
Yeah, I can present that. That's of course a different department,
Right.
but I can present that idea to them.
And the other idea would be reduce the speed, permissible speed. The faster people go, the more worn the road surface, the louder the noise.
You know, the problem with that is what they have found is even if you lower it, people go a certain speed on a certain road, you know, the way it's designed, and it's really hard to slow people down. And I think that might be a hard one to push with Brockman at 35 and everything.
And another thing you could point out is, again, this winter, somebody almost made it into my backyard. Lost control and came way up on the embankment, and it was just halfway over the pedestrian sidewalk when they came to a halt, and it took several hours and heavy equipment to drag the vehicle back into the street. In previous years, people have run up on that embankment and have sustained fatalities from a sudden stop, neck snaps, and things like that.
Yeah, I know. I know there's 2 instances down by, well, it used to be Albertsons when it happened, where people ran into trees along the road. You know, it's just, and they have various excuses, but it's mainly just losing control of the car. One case, he was being chased by the police. Of course, after he got stopped, he said he didn't even acknowledge he was driving the car. That one was pretty funny. Anyway, I will present your concerns. How's that?
If you would, and there is that section from just beyond the shelter at the park, headed toward the Ranch 99 market, where my property backs up, where I think consideration should be given to putting I guess you'd call it those crash wall barriers.
What?
The concrete divider barriers up. I mean, you could level off a little edge and set them there so that people don't climb up that embankment into the backyards, which they've shown a proclivity to want to try.
I don't know.
The day that someone really arrives in my backyard. And that's just where they speed up. You can, on the summer days, you can hear them hit the pedal to the metal and off they go.
Oh, yeah, well, anyway, I'll present your concerns. How's that? See what they have to say. Any more neighborhood concerns, comments? Okay, let's go on to the next one is BCCI. And since I'm now the BCCI rep, since Travis decided to abandon us, on the January meeting, we had a lot of this is, you've gotten the same thing here, the library services update about no fines or anything like that. The one thing we discussed, and this eventually come down to our meeting, is last year, or it was 2 years ago, I think, where they passed what they call it's a measure HB 2001, and what it says is housing zones that were previously single residence only can now have duplexes or triplexes, or in some cases fourplexes on them, and there will be no more property that's zoned with just houses on it. And in Greenway, most of the land is R5 and R7, and that's the zoning that is affected by this, because you get down to R2 and R3, they can already have that high of density. So right now they're developing a bunch of rules at the state level and everything like that. And the city is working on it. And eventually we're going to know more about it. There's things that aren't worked out yet, like what parking requirements are, etc. But basically, if I wanted to tear my house down and put a triplex, when this ruling all comes into effect, I can do that, right? Or I can buy a couple lots and make sixplex. It's I'm not too impressed with the law. I mean, it's part of the neat thing about living in the suburbs. You could have a house, your own backyard, and not have to worry about duplexes or triplexes near you. So we had a discussion on that. We're planning on bringing information to the NACs, but it's not quite to the point of enough rules on exactly what's going to happen yet. And other than that, I think that's about all on that. But things are changing, and I don't think it'll affect that housing change. I don't think it'll affect us as much as in central Beaverton and some of the areas that are closer to redevelopment. We're probably 30, 40 years away from that. So, but it will affect us someday. Okay. Potential projects. I think we should just wait a little more and see if the coronavirus thing is gonna clear up. I was hoping maybe early this summer we could do another adopt a road cleanup. I mean, we should still be able to do that and observe all the various coronavirus requirements, like 6 feet apart and all that. So we'll see. There is a couple that actually been part of the NAC in the past that they told me they were taking a walk every day down. I can't think of the road right now, not Conestoga, but the other one. And they've been picking
Downing.
Yeah, Downing. Anyway, they've been walking it every day and picking stuff up, so it may not be in that bad a shape. They called me about somebody in one of the apartments on there put a mattress, a single size mattress out in the city's pathway, right? Probably hoping to get rid of it, which they were. I called up the Public Works and they picked it up. So, if not, I would just stay there probably. And they had there's several other things that people have done, but we also don't have a real big NAC right now. So we lost Jennifer and Travis, and there's several other people that's health is not very good. So it's hard to get a lot of volunteers. I think we can still do the adopt a road thing. Okay. We can get by with just one group if we had to, so it's not that difficult. Anyway, any new business? Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Yeah, well, I'm gonna call the meeting adjourned. I'll get back to you, Eric, and I'm not quite sure. I'll have to talk to.
If you could also supply me with the person to contact in the city regarding landscaping. That area behind my house where these people have been climbing the banks is steadily losing the trees. And I'm feeling vulnerable because those trees have saved me several times. And I would like to discuss possible replanting in that area.
Are these trees on private property or on city property?
I believe the land that includes the sidewalks all the way down to the street must be city.
That's on Greenway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's city. That's the city maintains that and everything.
And
So what was
becoming the Greenway Desert?
So what was the concern there?
Well, the trees that were either native and hadn't been taken down or were deliberately planted in recent times have either succumbed to disease, drought, or motor vehicles.
Right.
And it's rather barren. It's an area that collects trash. I pick it up probably once or twice a month. And, you know, some of the trash is hazardous.
Right, right. Somebody actually has that for Adopt a Road. I don't remember which group anymore.
Well, if
And
they
they
do,
obviously aren't
they're
doing
missing
very
a
good.
lot.
The city does go along and try to maintain it. You know, I'll get you for things like that where you see something wrong. Next meeting, there's a email you can email the city with particular things that are happening on city property, and they're usually pretty good about fixing it up. You know,
If you could provide me with that, I would appreciate it.
right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way. And it even works for, you know, if you think speeding's a problem or that kind of thing. That I'll make sure I got your name here. Because after the meeting, I forget. But yeah, individual things like that, trees, you know, they don't always know this tree's going bad. And right now, I just got an email from them or from somebody in the city yesterday, or maybe it was on Facebook, saying they have everybody out trying to fix trees, etc., that got damaged during the freezing rain we had and snow. So they are working. If you see a new one that's got a problem, they're probably working on it, but they are working hard right now to fix it up. And it's sort of deceptive. Some things you think might be Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District might be city-owned property, and because where the trail crosses the bridge and all that, that is actually the bridge, and the trail going west is actually part of Beaverton. Beaverton owns that. Whereas you get down further close to the park than the THPRD's land. So sometimes it's sort of hard to know. But what I found out is no matter which one you go to, they'll let you know. Okay. Any more questions?
Yes, when's our next meeting?
Oh, I had that at the beginning. I mean, it's April 15th.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for
Anything
any
else?
who are interested, this virtual background behind me is Smith Rock. And that is Oregon's mega volcano, what's left of it,
Yeah.
which is the westernmost extent of the Yellowstone hotspot.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to put a background on mine, but you have to have a fairly speedy computer to have the background work. And there's a test that Zoom will run, and I tried it on mine, and it said I didn't have a fast enough computer, so I couldn't do the background thing. Evidently, it has to redo things just sort of, you know, all the time. Okay, and Miles, I see you're back. Got a question for you. Well, this was Eric's concern about speeding on Greenway at a certain area, and in the past they've put those little speed wagons on, and who do we contact to get that kind of thing done? He also had a suggestion of maybe some signs on the pedestrian bridge saying slow down or something like that.
Yeah. So where's the location at?
It's on Greenway. I just say right around the pedestrian bridge, right? That right? I mean, that's the best. Or between Murphy and I think that's Parkway at the other side there. Between Murphy and Parkway. Just what they do is they sort of come down, and then when they're going up the hill to Brockman, they sort of, I don't know why people like to accelerate going uphill, right?
So are they going east or west?
Get my directions here. When you come down Brockman and it makes the turn or joins with Greenway in the vicinity of Greenway School and the recreation building there at Greenway Park, Greenway then heads off in more or less a northerly direction toward Hall Boulevard.
So towards Hall.
Yes,
Yeah, but
and that's where they put the pedal down. As soon as they think they've got control from coming around that turn there,
Okay, but
school, they speed up.
they're headed towards Hall.
Yes.
Okay, I will put in the request.
And there is a area just behind my house. There's I guess a utility vault, a very large one set at street level. And you probably could haul that little trailer off and just set it on top of it. Keep it out of the street, but it has good view both ways.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to the traffic sergeant and ask him to put it on the list to go out and set it out there. They can also do, they also do this thing where they put, it almost looks like a briefcase. It's this black box, and they put it where you can't really see it, and it records all the traffic's speeds. And if they see like a high increase at a certain time of day, they'll actually increase patrols there and try to pull some people over and get them to change their behavior.
Might be. And, you know, my concern is, you know, over the past few years, I've had people come off the street there and try to climb the bank into my backyard. And one case was a fatality. They snapped their neck when their vehicle stopped as it took out one city tree. And then just winter, this past winter, a guy in a pickup almost made it.
I'll be happy to put that request in there.
Deeply appreciated, and if they want to contact me, I'm on Beaverwood Court, and they can certainly have access through my yard, through my fence. And by the way, thank the city for scrubbing the graffiti off, which appears unfortunately from time to time.
Yeah, as soon as we know about it, we try to get it off. The quicker it comes off, the less likely it is to come back. Because the people who do that, they want it to be seen. And so if it disappears quickly, then it's not worth their time to keep going to that spot. They'll find somewhere else or they'll give up. So feel free to put those in.
And I have several gallons of stain that I can go out and recover that part of the fence where you guys ground it off. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. One other thing I told him, you know, he's got timed various trees and such, look like they need attention. Isn't there a email that he can use that goes to the city to complain about problems like that?
It's on the webpage. It's called Report a Problem. And I think if you go to the city's main page, go all the way to the bottom of the front page, it says Report a Problem, and then you can pick graffiti, speeding, trees. Yep.
Thank you.
You got.
Okay, any more concerns? Well, I guess we're done. When you talk to the police department, tell them we'd really like them to come to our meeting. I don't know, I'm gonna bug the new mayor at the CCI meeting about why the police department doesn't come to our meetings anymore. So, I mean, you know, they've been coming for years and all of a sudden they have stopped. The, you know, the police report that used to be in the Valley Times is there for Tigard and a bunch of other cities, but not for Beaverton. It's, I don't know what's going on with the police department, but you know, there's something going on.
Okay, I'll follow up with them too, Jim, tomorrow and see if I can get an answer or a commitment to be at the April 15th meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Because they probably get asked more questions than anybody. And,
They do.
You know, and lately there's been a lot of reports of car prowls and that kind of stuff in our area.
Yeah, I'm sure if we can't get somebody who's on patrol that night, we can get a sergeant to come in to join the meeting and talk. So I'll make sure somebody's there at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Any more concerns? Well, I guess the meeting is formally adjourned. Thanks everybody for coming.